My father is a missionary. He has served his entire life and dedicated entire life to the service of Islam Ahmadiyyat. And by the grace of Allah, he has experienced and visited so many different places that the richness and the knowledge and wisdom that he has tried to share with me over the course of life, I am extremely grateful for. But of course, you don't realize that when you're young. Back when you're a little child, you're relying on your parents for everything, and the only thing you care about is, hey, where I'm gonna, when am I gonna get fed? What kind of toys are my parents gonna buy me? When am I gonna get to watch, cartoons, and when am I gonna get to play sports? And really, that's all that matters. And as you grow up and you go through school is kind of like the last thing on your mind. And I'll be honest, I was a horrible student. I didn't do bad enough so that I'd get spanking at home, but I didn't really do quite well enough so that I'd be looked at as one of the smartest kids in my class. So I figured out a way how to get straight B's, and that way I'd stay out of trouble, and I also wouldn't have a whole lot of homework either. So, but and my father used to constantly, remind me that, hey, studies are important. You should study. Of course, naturally, every other Desi parent, they wanted me to become a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. Given that I was really a poor student, I never really, it never really occurred to me that that's the direction that I should go. So when I was in, when I went to college, just like every other Desi kid going to school, first year, what do you want to be? Oh, I'm going to be a doctor. Okay, great. And I quickly realized that that was my own folly, and I was not going to be a very good doctor. The reason being is the first time in my biology class that I went to go visit a lab, oh my God, that was it. Seeing a human dead body and taking out the organs, oh my God, I'm so squeamish. I was like, okay, forget it. This is not for me. The very first time where I had to really make a decision for myself. And it was at that point in time that, I became very honest with myself, and I said, look, rather than me go to school not really knowing exactly what I really need to figure out what it is that I want to do first. And I've always been fascinated with the military ever since I was a little kid. I really wanted to do something with my life that made a difference. And naturally, as I thought about my fantasy world and my adulthood, my fantasy world came together, I decided that, the military was a very good option for me. The next big challenge now was, how would I break this to my father? How would I break this to a missionary who has dedicated his whole life to the service of Islam, and how would I explain to him that I wanted to join the military? And not just join the military, I specifically wanted to join the Marine Corps. And the reason I wanted to join the Marine Corps was simply one reason only. It was the toughest. When it finally came time for me to actually sit down with my father and tell him that I was going to leave school, and actually I was very seriously considering joining the Marine Corps, I decided just to come clean. I said, Abu, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm in school, but I'm not going to be a doctor. And to be honest, I haven't really thought about what it is that I want to do. But I do know that this is an area that I'm very passionate about. I'm interested in, and I want to prove to myself more than anybody that I can do this, okay? That I can be a leader. My father very calmly, and it was a complete surprise, very calmly said, son, if that's really what you want to do, then that's fine. You're a grown man. You want to do that? Do it. The first piece of advice that I will tell you is that deeds are judged by their intentions. So if you're going into the military with the right intentions, and really, really think hard about this, if you're going into the Marine Corps with the right intentions, then it will serve you well. If you're going into it with the wrong intentions, or in this fantasy, just dramatic, like you're going to come out of the military and everybody's going to respect you because you got through boot camp, you're going to be severely disappointed. The second thing that my father told me is that if you want to be a leader, learn to serve. The Jamaat is a great place for that. It is the servant who ultimately becomes a leader. And the third thing I want you to remember is that everything in life is a privilege. It is because Allah Ta'ala has enabled you and given you those capabilities that if you're able to do anything, it's a privilege. So do not look at any situation that you come across, whether in the military or beyond, that you are entitled to something. It is strictly a privilege, and you should treat it as such. And lastly, he said, Alhamdulillah, remember that anything that you accomplish in life, it is because of Allah, and that all praise belong to Allah. And then I told a friend of mine who happened to be a non-Ahmadi Muslim that I was thinking about doing this. And my friend asked me, why would you do this? You're a Muslim. Why would you join the military of a nation and put yourself in a position where you have to kill other Muslims? And that is when I thought about the first thing my father told me, that deeds are judged by their intentions. And as I thought about that, I also thought about the fact that as Muslims, we believe and we are commanded that loyalty to one's homeland is part of one's faith. It was this thing that my father said to me that really solidified my decision to move forward and join the military. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this. This was a challenge. And I also thought about what I said to my father, that I want to become a leader. And so what I started to do in boot camp is I started to look after my comrades, my fellow Marines. What do they need? How could I help? Yes, I was just as miserable as any of those guys were, but I decided consciously that I was going to become a source of comfort for them. If there's some way, shape, or form that I could help them, that I would do so. As you are all going to school, as you're all studying, as you're all working, understand that everything that you're doing here in this free nation is a privilege. That there's no guarantees. That this whole concept of entitlement is going to be a mental burden that you do not want to carry. And if you approach life, and whether it's work, whether it's homework, whether it's studying for an exam, if you approach it with the mental mind framework that you have been given this opportunity that others do not get, I assure you that your effort and your success in this regard will be much better, that your result is going to be much better. And last but not least, understand that whatever success you experience in life going forward, it is all due to Allah. And that all praise ultimately belong to Allah, who has given you the capacity, who has given you the ability, the intellect, the talent to do what it is that you do. So as I leave you here today, I want you to think about why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you want to do what you think you want to do? If you don't know the answer to that question, why, you need to stop and really think about it. If you don't know why you're going to school, you don't know why you're studying for that exam, stop, think about it, explore it. I assure you it's worthwhile reflection. Pray over it. Ask for guidance from Allah Ta'ala to help you understand, because it is that question of why, that drives purpose. And when you have purpose in life, when you truly understand why you're doing the things that you're being asked to do, or why you do the things that you do, I assure you that what you deliver and the results that generate from it, Allah Ta'ala ensures that they're fruitful. If you don't have the answer to that, then you're just simply going through the motions. Jazakallah.